The Fallout and Run, Hide, Fight are two movies that tackle the subject of school shootings in very different ways. Today, I'm going to be picking apart where each of them succeeds and fails. Now, apparently there's some disagreement over whether or not the teenage lingo in The Fallout is realistic. But that's not what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm just going to be looking at how these movies tackle such a serious topic. Let me be clear, I'm not approaching this as an outsider looking in. I have been through an attempted school shooting. I say attempted because the would-be shooter used the wrong ammo for the gun he had and nobody actually got shot. In fact, the lack of gunshots is the reason I didn't realize what was going on at first. I just thought it was weird that we were having a lockdown during lunch hour. Obviously, I figured out what was going on. Anyway, let's get started. As usual, spoiler alert. Both of these movies revolve around female protagonists who go through a school shooting. Both movies show how their protagonists are affected by this experience. Both protagonists end up kissing a male classmate who happens to be a person of color. In Run, Hide, Fight, the school shooting is the main focus of the plot. Zoe spends the movie running from, hiding from, and eventually fighting the school shooters. Hence the title. In The Fallout, the school shooting is just the inciting incident. The main bulk of the movie focuses on, well, the fallout. Veda and her classmates have been through a traumatic event, and the movie doesn't shy away from showing just how much PTSD sucks.
I like the doodles. Who's that guy? Is that Harry Potter?
That's Paul Dano. It's my celebrity crush.
How was this? Processing through all these emotions.
Good. I had a lot of ups and downs, but I feel like I felt everything. So that's good, I guess.
The Fallout follows Veda Cavell, played by Jenna Ortega. Run, Hide, Fight follows Zoe Hall, played by Isabel May. At the start of The Fallout, Veda is a perfectly normal teenage girl.
You don't even need to wear makeup. Sorry, what? I just said you don't even need to wear makeup. What was that? Was that a gun? Take them off. Oh.
After she goes through a school shooting, she is a traumatized teenage girl. She's still going through puberty and figuring out her sexuality and all that jazz, only now she has to deal with PTSD on top of it all. She forms close bonds with the people she was trapped with during the shooting, bonds which may or may not last forever, but are still a good sign regardless. Over the course of the film, they go through the various stages of grief and learn to better live with their pain.
I noticed that you used the word scared a few times. When did you feel the most scared?
Being at school. I don't feel comfortable being back there.
Can you tell me more about that?
You know, all these kids from my school, specifically one of my closest friends, Nick, who I love so much, they've been able to take what happened and are literally using it to change the world. Like, they're doing so much amazing stuff, and for some reason, I feel like I'm unable to do that. I feel like it has kind of ended our friendship. Sucks. because I really, really miss him.
At the start of Run, Hide, Fight, Zoe is emotionally closed off following the death of her mother. When the shooters show up, she stays closed off as she fights back. By the end of the movie, the leader, Tristan, is running away and she murders him in cold blood. Yes, I said murders. This is not self-defense. This is not protecting others. Tristan is running away. He is no longer a threat, and Zoe kills him anyway. This particular action formula, that of the warrior ethos, isn't inherently bad, but applying it to a school shooting just doesn't work, at least not in the way shown here. It's telling that Zoe murders Tristan in cold blood with a badass monologue instead of being conflicted about it, which would work just as well in this action movie narrative while feeling more realistic and making the story more interesting by showing that, unlike him, she's actually affected by killing.
I didn't expect to deal with this scenario. But there's unfinished business to tend to. You see, it's tempting to let nature run its course. The lungs will fill with blood, and the animal will die naturally. But with that process comes extreme pain. And it just isn't right to let it suffer. Or is it?
All they needed was one close-up shot showing that Zoe is conflicted over the decision to shoot him. She still would have been in the wrong, but at least she would have been conflicted. The ending makes sense in this particular action movie formula, but while that may work on paper, what it translates to here is essentially a child murdering another child in a way that's supposed to be mentally and emotionally satisfying, but the satisfaction is inherently complicated by real-life examples of school shootings that have unfortunately become a regular occurrence here in America. In a more believable movie, the lesson would be that Zoe needs to learn to be vulnerable again despite knowing that all relationships will eventually end. The movie even draws parallels between Zoe and the villains regarding their closed-off view of the world. The problem is that instead of going through character developments to grow out of this unhealthy mindset, Zoe is proven right to be so cold and detached. The growth she has is surface level at best. Nothing about her is changed in any meaningful way. Partway through the fallout, Veda becomes emotionally closed off like Zoe. Now, being emotionally closed off like that can be good for you in the short term, but in the long term, it's very unhealthy. This is why so many tough guys have anger issues. But while Veda eventually comes back out of her shell, Zoe not only stays inside, we're supposed to believe that she's right to do so. In other words, Veda is written like a teenage girl, and Zoe is written like a jaded, world-weary adult who has put their life of violence behind them, but has to reluctantly dip their toes back into violence when they find themselves in a life-or-death situation. When it comes to overcoming grief, the fallout offers sympathy and compassion with the understanding that the damage has been done can never truly be undone.
What are you feeling right now? I don't know. Yes, you do.
feel mad.
Mad about what?
I feel mad because I had no idea one guy with a gun could fuck up my life so hard in 6 minutes. Fuck up so many lives. Then I think I should be grateful to be alive. I feel like, I don't know, maybe there's some weird fucked up reason why I made it and other people didn't. But then when you sit back and you think about it, you realize, no, there isn't. There's no fucking reason. None of us should have died. I'm having a really hard time moving on.
Run, Hide, Fight's message is, just get over it, you pussy. Both of these movies want to be taken seriously and interpreted as reality. The problem with Run, Hide, Fight is that it follows an action movie formula that is meant to be a fantasy that audiences can escape from real life. The unrealistic aspects of this formula are generally considered acceptable breaks from reality with the understanding that they're not realistic. But Run, Hide, Fight expects you to accept them as reality. The problem isn't that this movie takes liberties with reality, it's which liberties the movie decides to take. Lockers are apparently bulletproof, but school windows apparently are not. A teenage girl gets shot in the leg and keeps going like she just stubbed her toe. The school shooters make their entrance by crashing a van through the fucking wall into the cafeteria, and yet the useless school staff doesn't notice for several minutes because the plot says so. Action movies like this are supposed to be fun and detached from reality, but this one can't be those things because of the school shooting angle. The movie has the structure of a fantasy, but it's asking you to think of it as realistic. This is because the people who made Run, Hide, Fight seem to genuinely believe that we live in one big action movie, where the police are largely incompetent. Fair. Good guys with guns always save the day. No. And the act of killing another person never has any psychological effects on anyone.
When I became a doctor, I swore an oath to do no harm, and I have just killed a man. I'm not doing that again. I became a doctor to save lives, not take them.
In the fallout, no one steps up to be a hero. The shooter shoots people until the cops show up and shoot him. That's it. When Veda finally returns to school, she's still so traumatized that she can't even bring herself to go into the bathroom and ends up holding it all day, and the moment something makes her flinch, she has an accident. Run, Hide, Fight ends with Zoe murdering someone in cold blood and then leaving the scene like a stone-cold badass. The fallout ends with Veda seeing a notification about a shooting at another school and having a panic attack, because just like in real life, the damage can never be truly undone. The Fallout and Run, Hide, Fight are two movies that tackle the subject of school shootings in very different ways, which is to say that one treats it with the gravitas it deserves, and the other treats it like an action movie. Run, Hide, Fight feels like a gender swap version of something I cooked up when I was bored in high school English class. The Fallout just feels real. That's all for now. Stay safe in these crazy times.